Today is Wednesday, May 15th. And before we get to today's topic, for the Mavericks and Thunder tonight in Oklahoma City, it's Game 5 of their best-of-7 playoff series, with the series tied at 2-2. This stunning NBA stat. In the NBA's history of 7-game series, the winner of Game 5, when the series is tied at 2-2, the winner of Game 5 wins 82% of those series. You talk about a critical game. There is one tonight. Meanwhile, in hockey, the Stars just start putting back-to-back enormous effort on the ice. They lead Colorado 3-1 in the quarterfinals of the NHL. And next up, their play-by-play man, Josh Bogorad.
And now, a word from our title sponsor.
Are all financial advisors fiduciaries? Fewer than you think. Not knowing could reduce your lifestyle. Hi, I'm Mitch Kramer, founder and CEO of Fluent Financial. A fiduciary is a regulatory term to reduce conflicts of interest in wealth management. A fiduciary always works in your best interest. A non-fiduciary advisor might put their compensation or company ahead of yours. At Fluent Financial, we are certified financial planners acting as fiduciary advisors. To learn more, go to fluentfinancial.com or Fluent Financial's YouTube channel.
There's been a significant development in your laundry room. Laundry detergent sheets, not dryer sheets, but the same concept. Paper thin, remarkably efficient. Just toss one into your load of clothes and voila! Sparkling clean and smelling great. And as a plus, they're hypoallergenic for those with sensitive skin. Jugs of detergent. Jugs that just wind up in trash heaps. It's easy to get your laundry detergent sheets. Just go to the link in today's podcast episode.
Introducing Star Power Smart Home Solutions, where cutting-edge technology meets effortless living. Control your entire home with just a tap on your smartphone. Adjust the lights, set the perfect temperature, and ensure your home is secure, all from the palm of your hand. Star Power has the experts that will transform your house into a secure, smart home. Experience the ultimate solution in comfort and security for your family. Get started at GetStarPower.com. Star Power, where innovation meets home.
Josh Bogorad's in his 11th season as part of the broadcast team of the Dallas Stars, and his 6th as their play-by-play announcer. By the way, the Stars radio and TV are the same voice, and Josh is the voice. Prior to that, Josh did minor league hockey in Alaska and Corpus Christi, two of the more different locations I can ever imagine in life. He was voted Texas Sportscaster of the Year in 2020. He got the Lone Star Sports Emmy for play-by-play work in 2022. First, thank you. If people seeing this say, wait a minute, what's that background? You're in your car. You've just landed.
Yeah. So I don't live here actually, but this is what you mean to me, Norm. We landed from Denver. I've got a packed schedule of events, but I had an opportunity to jump on with you, so everything else is on the back burner. So coming live right off the plane. We're coming in hot for this.
And by the way, the back burner includes your family?
A little bit, but don't tell him I said that. So just for you, not for anyone else, bud.
The Dallas Stars set some franchise records during the regular season. They started the playoff against Vegas by losing the first 2 games and then roared back to take that 7-game series 4-3. They're now up 3-1 over Colorado, meaning the Stars have won 7 of their last 9 playoff games. I know this is an odd question for you, but Josh, is this team missing anything?
Not really. It's a really good question, and we've said that all along this season. In my opinion, and you've covered sports for such a long time, I think hockey's no different from any other sport. There's not one team and only one team that is worthy of being a champion at the end of the year. And there's multiple contenders. Things have to break correctly for you, but there are usually a group of teams that you're like, okay, that team has enough. It checks all the boxes, and the Stars have looked like that team for a while now, and for if not all of the majority of this season, and they certainly look like that team right now. And as they were looking for things to get better, the one thing that they truly were missing, they went and they got at the trade deadline, and that was Chris Tanev, which was a defensive-minded, veteran, right-handed defenseman. And it fit in like a glove, like they thought they would. They're extremely deep. They're talented at every position. They're excellent offensively. They're terrific defensively. They're one of the top teams on both ends of special teams. They've got one of the best goaltenders on the planet, who's also a clutch goaltender. They can play very well at home. They're the best road team in the league. I mean, what are you missing at that point? I think if you poll a lot of other teams that are still playing at this time, they would tell you that they check a lot of boxes as well, and they likely do. But you just laid out the numbers. You're talking about the last two Stanley Cup winning teams that the Stars have put those numbers against. You're talking about the top offensive team in Colorado. You're talking about an incredible team that is so much better than their record was in Vegas because of the additions that they had and players who got healthy and then trades that they made at the deadline. And Dallas has stormed through them, and there's still work to be done. I mean, as you and I record this, they're not even halfway there. That's how arduous the road to the Stanley Cup is. But they look the part, and they're playing the part right now, and against some very, very, very good competition right out of the gate. Dallas has risen above it. It's been extremely impressive.
Colorado's a very good hockey team. They're very good at home. And the Stars went in there and smashed them the last two games, 4-1 and 5-1. Can you recall ever broadcasting two such complete games back to back for the Dallas Stars?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can, because this is what they've done. That doesn't water down what they just did in Denver and how impressive it was. And to do it at the most important time of the year is obviously magnified, and it makes it that much more pivotal when you get the job done. But they've kind of been a model of consistency now for 2 years running. There's an underreported stat, and you know, because the NHL has overtime rules where you can get points in a shootout, you can get points in an overtime loss. It's sometimes hard to parse numbers and statistics in a way that they just translate really cleanly. But the reality is that in 2 years since Pete DeBoer took over, the Stars have not lost 3 consecutive games in regulation ever.
Wow.
Not once. You're talking about over 160 games. You're talking about injuries. You're talking about brutal road trips where you play 6 games in 9 nights. You talk about a flu that can go through a locker room. And you think about all the intangibles. It's 1 week. 1 week that you just park and you turn the page, right? The best baseball teams in the world are going to go get swept in a series, right? The greatest football teams in the world are going to lay an egg from time to time. You're talking about 2 seasons against all of the entirety of the NHL. You could get scheduled sometimes. There's so many variables that can happen. This team doesn't take a week off. They're the only team that can say that. It's a historic mark for a guy who came over and took over as head coach, what Pete DeBoer has done. And so, yeah, to see what they did in Denver is extremely impressive, but it's also not uncommon. This is what the Stars have been doing for a couple seasons now, and there's a reason why they are where they are in the standings and in the hierarchy of the NHL.
Is the underreported, no fanfare star of this team the general manager, Jim Nill?
He's one of them, and he would deflect because that's who Jim is. I think the beauty of this team, and maybe that does make him the guy because of roster construction, the beauty of this team is you can trade very easily from night to night, week to week, series to series when you get to the playoffs who the MVP is. It's pretty wild that this year the Stars finished as the number 3 offensive team, right? 3 out of 32. You're talking about one of the best offenses in the league, and they didn't have anybody in the top 25 in scoring. And if you look at their lines, you could make a very strong argument that there are 3 different lines that in the first third, the middle third, and the final third of the year, their best line was a different line, each of those threes. And that's pretty remarkable because, you know, the old adage, if you don't have a number 1 quarterback, then you don't have like a true good quarterback. And if you don't have a number 1 goalie, a true number 1, then you don't have an elite goaltender. The Stars have an elite offense, and they have wire to wire throughout the season. But who has led it has been different. And they can win games 6-5. They can win games 1-0 with their defense and their goaltending. And so I think it's very to ask that question, who is the MVP? Maybe it is the GM, and maybe it is the coaching staff, and maybe it is a different guy every night. But the beauty of the Stars is they don't really care. It's as cohesive a team as you're going to find, and they truly do get the job done together and spread the wealth.
We are 4 games deep in a series against a good Colorado team. They came back from 3-0 down to win the first game, 4-3 in sudden death overtime. The goal, when it went in the net, stopped the clock because it ended the game. But the Stars have literally, when the clock has been running, never been behind in the 4 games. That's outrageous.
It is, and it's over 250 minutes against the number 1 offense and the number 1 home team, and half of the series has been played in altitude in Denver. So you can even make it more ridiculous and incredible. And then if you want to stretch it back to the prior series against the Vegas Golden Knights, they took the lead and never trailed in Game 7. So you're now talking about over 300 minutes against Vegas and Colorado, where Dallas hasn't played from behind. And this is a postseason that started with them losing those first 2 games to the Golden Knights. People thinking this team might be on the ropes, and it might go from number 1 in the West to out in a week. And they were facing that reality, and they got up off the mat. And what they've done since is really impressive. Colorado's an attack that they're going to keep on coming. Within games, we've seen that. The fact that the series is 3-1, I think you're now going to see that as well. I don't think they have any intention of going quietly, but the Stars, they stay the course, and they do a fantastic job of it. Playing with the lead is obviously a more advantageous position and one you want to be in, and Dallas has been doing it now for a couple of weeks pretty regularly.
The Stars have guys who are nearly 40. They have guys, Wyatt Johnson was 20 when he scored
Yesterday.
against Colorado, yes. And he now has the most playoff goals ever by a hockey player for the Stars, the whole franchise history, that wasn't 21 years old. He scored 11 playoff games. My question to you is, you've got age, you've got middle age, you've got children, you've got a young goalie, and you got a farm system that produces fruit at an amazing rate. Why shouldn't we think that the Stars are going to be really good for a long time?
I can't give you a reason. You should, because they're going to be. Like a lot of teams are good, and just being good doesn't guarantee you anything. That holds true for this season, and it holds true for future seasons. But the Stars are going to be in the conversation because of exactly what you said. They are a very rare, perfect composition of being in a win-now mode and not having their future sacrificed on paper. Because there's even other guys that the casual fan maybe doesn't even know about. They're not household names that are coming, and they're going to help this team too. The Wyatt Johnstons of 2 years ago who are right now marinating and waiting for their time, or who Thomas Harley was 2 or 3 years ago. There are more high-end prospects who are coming. And right now the Stars are so deep that you have very good NHL players, guys who are first-round picks who can't crack this lineup. So I can't give you a reason because I don't think there is one. They're built to be good right now, and they are. They're built to be good going forward, and they will be. And again, you got to tip your cap to Jim Nill and his staff, because anytime there has been an ability to get better, he has done an exceptional job of not only growing through the draft and the minor leagues, but also going and getting some pretty shrewd free agent acquisitions. In recent years, you think of Joe Pavelski and you think of Matt Duchene and what that's been. And there's others certainly that you can add to the list. He went out and got Evgeny Dodonov and Sam Steele and Craig Smith. And it's a mixture of youth and experience. It's a mixture of guys who are starting their career and maybe winding it down. It's a mixture of guys who you drafted and developed, and then guys you brought in to help fill certain needs. And all of that mixture has created this team that is undeniably one of the best in the National Hockey League.
Josh, you're in your mid-40s now. Hockey broadcasters can settle in and have long runs. Just look at your partner, Razor Ray, who, when he started 20 years ago, did not have gray in his hair. Is it possible that you're doing this dream job, God willing, 25 more years from now?
Well, I'm glad you stopped short of calling Razor old, because I want to make sure that we didn't take a left turn and do that. Look, I'm very lucky to be where I am. I'm very happy to be where I am. This truly is a dream job for me. I know that's kind of a cliche term, but when I was my kid's age, I wanted to be a broadcaster in the NHL, and I wanted to be a broadcaster for a team specifically, because I like to be a part of something, and I like to really, be part of an organization. It means more than just showing up and putting on a headset and calling a game. And I've loved my time in Dallas. I think the organization is fantastic. They're thought to be one of the better ones on the national landscape. And when you work for them and you see the inner workings of it and you meet the people from the top down, you can see why. Me and my family, we love Dallas. It's home for us. It's the home that my kids know. I married a Texan, and so she's at home. I'm at home. I can't tell you what the future brings, because I definitely don't have that ability, but we're extremely happy where we are right now. I couldn't be more happy with what I've been lucky enough to be able to do here. And if the runway's as long as you talk about, and there's a lot more gray in there, and we're having this conversation down the road, I wouldn't mind it one bit.
And finally, given the quality of the team you're broadcasting right now and the way it's playing, do you allow yourself the dream of broadcasting a Stanley Cup champion?
Sure, I guess. Not necessarily specifically, but I think that's always kind of the dream on top of the dream. I'd love to be able to have that opportunity. I was very fortunate to, get to listen when the Rangers finally pushed it over the hill, and we were doing a game, so we were following as close as we could when we were kind of starting our season and they were making history. And the first thing I did when I got off the air and had a chance to go kind of catch up on everything was go find Eric Nadell's call. And it was a call that I know every single Rangers fan wanted to hear him get to make. And he nailed it. Of course he did, because he's Eric. And it was such a perfect call and such a perfect moment for Rangers fans who had waited. I think that anytime you do this, like I said, I prefer doing games for a team because of what you're a part of. That's always the dream. I think right now, like everyone else, we've been doing this now for 7 months in this season, and hopefully there's another 6 weeks still to go. I hope it's very soon. I hope it's maybe even multiple times that I get to make a call like that for the Stars and their fans. It would be an honor. It would certainly be a dream come true. But like everyone else, and like we're kind of beaten into, to say it in hockey, we'll take it one broadcast at a time and one game at a time. I don't control it. I just watch it and talk about it. But this team has been a ton of fun to cover. It's been a ton of fun to bring these moments to the fans and to the public. And if that's what's in the cards, then that would be pretty amazing.
Josh Bogorad, thank you for your time, and keep broadcasting victories.
I will do my part. I'll let them know you asked for it, and I'll also apologize to my family and explain to them why you came first.
Hey, that's great, Josh. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. Anytime. It's really good to talk to you again. I miss hearing you regularly in our segments and on the air, but I still follow you, and anytime I get to hear your voice, it's a fun time on my end.
God bless you, buddy. Travel safely.
Thanks,
have a
pal.
wonderful time in the little off time you get in the NHL postseason.
Yeah, I don't mind it one bit. I hope my off season keeps getting kicked further and further down the road.
See you, Josh. Thank you.
All right, bud. Take care.
Bye.
Today's episode brought to you by Fluent Financial, Retire Sooner, Better Lifestyle, and by Star Power, Love Where You Live.
Just Wondering is a production of DSP Media for FanStream Sports. You can find Norm's show along with other great programming at fanstreamsports.com.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, hit follow. And every weekday, a fresh new episode of Just Wondering will be delivered right to you. And if you enjoy this podcast, please share it with a friend. Finally, should you have questions or comments, please share them with us by going to X and our address at Norm's Clubhouse. That's Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges. And every day, I'll be just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitchkus, and I'm just wondering too.